The other
See,
half.
he was moving you south. See, you saw Jimmy going that way, see?
Right and left wing stuff here. But anyway, Jeff, I apologize for that, but he's our new council member, and he replaces James Shelby, was the representative from Citrus Heights before. Okay? You want to say a few words, Jeff?
No, I'm okay. Well, I don't. We'll just proceed with business.
Well, I have to apologize. We set you next to Mr. Yee the first time around, so. Anyway, we're ready to go, and yeah, that's right. You're in between the bookends there. Item number 1, please.
Okay, I also wanted to indicate that we had ex officio Garvey sitting with us. I didn't call him earlier.
I'm sorry.
I didn't call him earlier. And the first item is continued from the November 6th meeting, notice public hearing, amend campaign disclosure regulations.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members, good afternoon. This item carries forward from your last meeting. We lost a quorum right at the end. This is to change your campaign reporting regulations from saying $250 or more to more than $250 to make your regulations parallel everybody else's.
Simple as that.
And you had already opened and closed the hearing.
Right. So hearing's been closed. Any comments from members?
I move adoption of resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions? Hereby carried. Okay, item number 2, please.
We have item 2, Sure West semi-annual service activation report and request for authorization, a license boundary adjustment, Elk Grove, and an activation phase expansion, Citrus Heights and Antelope.
Mr. Chairman, members, I would suggest that if the Sure West folks would like to make the presentation as to what's before you, there's a receive and file of their first semi-annual report, a request to change their license boundary, and a request to add a new service area.
Okay, we have 4 speakers signed up under this item. Do you want to go first, Robert, or do you want to go last first? Robert Dugan.
If I may, Chairman Waters, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and commissioners, we're going to kind of do this as a team, if that's
fine.
All right.
That's fine.
And I'll have some overheads when I bring Fred up. The first thing that I need to do, though, is thank your staff, because having a competitive overbuilder brings with it certain work volumes that wouldn't otherwise exist had we not been trying to accomplish competitive cable television services in the community. So we end up, I think, creating a lot of work for staff, and we enjoy the relationship we have of trying to work through things and make sure things work out the way they're supposed to. So I'd like to thank staff for that hard work. What you have before you today, commissioners, are 2 things. The first is our service activation report, which I'm going to talk just very briefly on. And the second is a request to both modify our franchise territory and Phase C to include all of the city of Elk Grove, because there's a portion of the existing city that was not included with our original license. And then secondly is a request to turn up plant where we can gain access to our network of our incumbent local telephone provider, Sure West Telephone, formerly Roseville Telephone. So with that, let me tell you just briefly about the service activation report, and then I'm going to turn it over to Fred Arcuri to talk about the proposal. Service activation report that you have in front of you, we worked with staff on to come up with a format that met the need, that met the commitment we had made, and is very straightforward. So what we do is we give you a snapshot of where we were as of that 6-month period, and we chose December 31st and June 31st, June 30th as our benchmarks. Since we plan on an annual basis, it makes good sense to give you a report on a semi-annual basis. And after that snapshot, it does really 4 things. It says where we thought we were going to go over the last 6 months, gives you an idea of where we actually went over the last 6 months as far as activating plants and the demographics, talks about how we're going to move over the next 6 months, and then talks about how we're going to ensure that we're being ever mindful of working toward reasonable balance within our demographics. So I think that report's fairly straightforward. I don't know, Rich, if you wanted to say anything about that now, but that's all we had planned to.
That's fine. Why don't you finish your presentation and I'll give you staff comments.
Okay.
Great.
Fred?
Okay. So with that, then, I'd like to turn the presentation over to our Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Sure West Broadband, Fred Arcuri, who's going to do an introduction and then talk about the proposal in front of you.
Okay. Welcome, Fred.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks, Chairman Waters. Commissioners, and staff. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. It's kind of an exciting opportunity for us to present something to you that is new and exciting. When we get to the proposals, we'll get to some advancements in technology that are going to help us continue to serve the Sacramento County area with regards to cable television services. But before I get there, what I'd like to do is take a moment and formally introduce the newest member of Sure West Broadband's management team, Tom Villa, our new general manager. And I think most of you have met him informally, but I wanted to take a chance to
Welcome, Tom.
introduce him formally. So you say a few words.
Thanks. Well, first of all, I think I've had a chance to meet almost all of you, so for those of you that I haven't met, I plan to meet you soon in the future. I want to thank you for allowing me some time to spend with you already. Obviously, I'm very excited. I've come here with about 17 years of experience in the telecommunications industry. Very excited to be with Sure West. Plan to be here for many, many years to come and to be able to provide some excellent value in the marketplace when it comes to our products and services. So I won't bore you with any more details about me, but I'll look forward to seeing you in the future and working with you and really making this a great place to go ahead and deliver our products and services.
Welcome to Sacramento.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. So now to the specific documents before you. First, let me say that I'm extremely pleased with our service activation report. We committed from the beginning to be very much aware of the social and economic issues with regards to our construction and our activation plan, meeting all of those requirements of the county and the Cable Commission. We believe that the document that you have in front shows our efforts there and our commitment to continue to do so. And as we've always said, it's going to be a challenge in order for us to satisfy the requirements of the franchise license agreement, the requirements of business, and the growth in the area, that we would have to constantly have a blend of different opportunities of construction, whether that be leveraging and speculating in open trench, the management of an overbuild construction opportunity, as well as leveraging new technologies. And today's proposal, I think, shows you that we're taking care of all three of those. With that in mind, come with you today with our current request. The proposal we have before you has two parts, both of which are very straightforward. First, the service activation report, and then secondly, the request for Elk Grove as well as Citrus Heights. Are we going to have a...
I'm going to put them right
Put
here.
them up?
They're going
Okay.
to put it up on their...
Okay.
If you put your notes down here, we can...
Okay.
I'll scoop it up. You do that first.
All right. Everybody's seated, okay? First, the adjustment of our license boundary in Elk Grove. When we first applied for our license agreement, we left a section of Elk Grove out. I'm not sure if it was all part of the annexation or not, but at least a portion of it was, wasn't it?
Part of it's existing
So-
city and part of it's to the left annexation.
Right. So what the proposal today asks for is that we include those parts of the city of Elk Grove that we did not include in our original boundaries. We believe that in order to appropriately meet the needs of the city of Elk Grove and our business needs and satisfy customer requests for service in the area, that we need to include these within our boundaries. The second part of the request speaks specifically to leveraging some new technology. As you know, we are transitioning in Sacramento County off of the hybrid fiber coax plant that we had with the legacy network that we acquired to an all fiber-based network and a new protocol of running all of our services over an IP-based platform. That technology is also allowing us to leverage the copper facilities and dial tone facilities within our affiliate telco service territory, as well as any other telco that we can gain an access service agreement with. So that'll allow us to deploy services in the area, the same channel lineups, the same quality of cable service that we have over the rest of our plant in areas where we may not have to construct if we can get access to those copper facilities. This means we don't have to dig up streets. This means that we can deploy faster and still provide all the high quality services that we've been providing. So today, we're here to ask you specifically, as a result of that technology, to activate plant in Citrus Heights and in Antelope, where we have an access agreement with our affiliate, SureWest Telephone, to have access to the loops that will be required to provide that service. We will call those two areas, or that area, Phase D, and plan to have it completed concurrent with Phase C, which is in 2008. Is this the entire map, Robert? With the addition of this Phase D, we will be able to bring these competitive services to those areas quicker than we otherwise wouldn't be able to. And with that, because there won't be construction, this will not slow down any of the process that we have ongoing in Phases B and C. So it won't take any of the current resources away from those construction areas in order to deploy here. I also have here today Scott Barber, our Senior Vice President of Network Services, to answer questions that might be specific with regards to the technology or to the service activation report, should you have those. I would very much appreciate your aye vote on these services or these proposals today, and we're here to answer any questions that you might have with regards to them. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the commission? Scott, you filled out a speaker slip. Did you want to speak, or you're just here to answer questions? Okay. Okay. I heard from all the speakers that are listed on this item. Oh, I'm sorry, Rich.
Mr. Chairman, members, let me just add a few staff comments to this. Recall the 6-month reporting process that SureWest is in relative to the socioeconomic demographics requirements in the ordinance. We didn't come too easily. We worked very hard in the summer, and we brought to you the plan in August for approval with a recommendation to expand into Elk Grove. This is the first report pursuant to that plan, and I'm telling you, I am satisfied with it. I believe, at least based on the first report, that SureWest is doing what they said, and they, in fact, get it. The graphs, the data, the summary are all following the intent of both state legislation, federal legislation, and your ordinance. So with that, my recommendation would be that you receive and file the 6-month report. And I would note that on page 2 in the top right, that SureWest is making changes to their plan as they said. So they're bringing Oak Park and some other areas in a little sooner, which is different than they originally projected, which is my prime indicator that they are complying. So first recommendation of staff is that you receive and file the first 6-month report from SureWest.
Yeah, I personally want to thank all of you for the job you've done since you've been here. Rich keeps me abreast, and we have meetings on all of the agenda items as the chair. But SureWest, you've really stepped up, and congratulations.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Are there public members wishing to speak, or?
No, we got them all here. They're already out. They've already spoken
Oh,
to us.
okay. Mr. Chair, I think one of the reasons we have the ordinance the way it is so that cable companies don't come into our area and start to cherry pick some of the best areas. And in looking at some of the graphs that have been provided to us, it appears that SureWest have certainly done their best. Obviously, it isn't possible to have it exact, so we have to expect some deviation from it, but I think they've done a good job. They certainly have increased the number of potential subscribers in the socio-economic area, although they fell a little bit, I guess, on the diversity part. But those are things that are very difficult to try to provide exactly, and I appreciate the fact that they have tried. In fact, coming up with some of the data that's on the graph, I'm not sure how they did it, because that kind of information is very difficult to get. So I'm ready to make a motion, but if there's other speakers, it's...
Any other members of the board?
Mr. Chair, I just want to comment on one assumption that staff made in the report concerning the diversity target. And I did go back to city staff and ask them to compile some numbers for me, and while they couldn't come up with the exact numbers, they do pretty much support, based on the 2000 census, that the 40% assumption of that demographics within the city is actually pretty close. So
Okay,
that is
Jeff.
actually backed up by the city staff.
Okay. Yes, Mike?
Thanks, Robbie. I would just like to state that it's an opportunity to have Sure West to come down to the city of Elk Grove, and obviously time is of the essence as far as the growth that goes on down there. So from my perspective, the sooner that they do in fact take over those areas or the city of Elk Grove boundaries, I think it's a positive and it's in the best interest of the community. So as far as I'm concerned, they've done a great job with the rest of the county and the city of Sacramento. So I would look forward to having to move forward as quick as we can with the city of Elk Grove. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, any other comments from commissioners, or no one in the audience signed up other than the ones we've heard from? So, Jimmy, is that a motion then?
Yes, it is. I'll move for staff recommendation.
Receive and file the semi-annual report and adopt the resolution.
And also activation phase
Okay.
expansion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, it's hereby passed. Thank you.
Members, just want to add that what Sure West is doing, that Fred just described, this is right on the cutting edge. Think back 10 years, if cable television services could have been delivered over telephone lines, over the existing telephone lines, how many green winnies there wouldn't be in the front yards, how many trenches there wouldn't be, and what the competitive marketplace would be. That's what the technology has done. There probably aren't a handful of places in the country, a handful of telecom companies in the country that are deploying this technology. So Sure West has us right there on the edge in a community that's moving very quickly to be one of the most competitive in the state, if not in the country. For the at least in the percentage change from last year, we're up there in the top 2.
Okay.
My 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3, please.
We have channel licensee/grantee status presentations, and we have 3 speakers.
3 speakers, okay. We'll start with Tony Salamanca from KVI, Public Education. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you, members, Chairman Waters and commissioners, and Larry, our Elk Grove representative. Glad to see other activity here on the agenda with Elk Grove, and it is growing quite fast. And Mr. Chairman, if I could ask probably for a couple of minutes, we have a video that we're going to show.
Go ahead. That's fine, Tony.
Board of Directors activities, basically, you have our handouts. That's the pink one that you have in front of you. Basically, then reviewing and finalizing our 2004-2006 business plan. We're also planning an annual board retreat at our local CSU campus. We're continuing to make budget adjustments. The digital community initiative upgrade of our website is moving forward. Our finance committee of our board report outlines new initiatives that we're undertaking. Our nominations committee is very active in looking for broadening the base of our board members. Sorry, Tony.
Weighing in on the county budget, yeah.
I think your signal went the wrong place. Thank you. And then the programming committee is looking at new directions that we are exploring, and that's with the DWTV program that comes out of the Common Market. We did have a little problem, I think as Chairman Waters is aware of. We had roofing problems, and with the water, rain in the areas of the water came down and gave problems to our receiver. I think this is being taken care
And
of
I plan
now.
to take that up at the next city council meeting. I talked to Ron about that inferior workmanship, it sounds like, at this point on the roof of Columbus School, so.
Fine. Thank you very much, and thank you for your assistance on that,
Okay.
Chairman Waters.
You ready?
Channel 18, alternatives on the hour, and doing our bulletin board and programming, bulletin board marketing of nonprofit organizations. The programming highlights new programs on the nonprofit organizations, Sacramento City Council, and the arts, and a number of those programs are listed. For the commercial use revisions for the community programmers license agreement, thank the business underwriters for updating on their acknowledgements. That's what we'd like to do. We'd like to have permit inviting cable viewers to financially help on a 501c3 basis our outreach to the community, and to maintain and upgrade public access resources by temporarily allowing limited use of facilities and channel 17 time for commercial speech. And we outline some detail that's in the additional handout, which is the yellow one. Ron can speak to that in more detail. That's basically the summary that I have, and we'll go to the video. It's 3 parts, approximately each of the 3 is about a minute for highlights of the Pig Bowl, Girl Scouts, did some ads that they're going to put on, and then debate of the Assembly 9th District that was held at Kennedy High School. And I think you'll probably see one of the actors, one of the presenters here in that video. The Capital Group and the League of Women Voters were the sponsors, and they will show that. Thank you very much. Thank you. We could go for the video.
Video.
It should pop up here. There they go. Guns and Roses.
The skies are overcast. High temperatures today expected to be in the upper 40s. We are at Sacramento City College's Hughes Stadium for Pig Bowl 30. This year, law enforcement against local fire department football players.
All I know is we're the dogs, and we're going to go off like crazy dogs.
Well, you heard that. Now back to you guys.
Julia, thank you. 3rd down and 7. Garside flips the ball to 33. And we've got a little funny business here. Pass downfield is complete to number 6. That's Judah, and he's going to score. Razzle dazzle Fire 6-0. First lead the Fire has had in this series in the first points of the game, going to the Red Clad Fire Department.
With me are candidates for the 9th Assembly District race. For those of you who are number challenged like me, the 9th Assembly District is currently represented by Darrell Steinberg. First candidate to my left is Dave Jones. Next to him, Roger Dickinson. Next to him is Manny Hernandez, then Leslie Cochran, Lauren Hammond, Donna Begay, and Gaspar Garcia. With us tonight, we have members of the media to ask questions, and we thank them in advance for being here. We have at the blue table, starting with Jim Sanders from the Sacramento Bee, Dennis Lee from APA News and Review, Dr. Sunny Chong from the Council of Asian Pacific Islanders Together for Advocacy and Leadership, and Elaine Yamaguchi for Currents. We thank all of them for coming here to ask questions. We are having this forum live in front of an audience at the John F. Kennedy High School. That's part of the Sacramento Unified School District. This forum is co-sponsored by the Council of Asian Pacific Islanders Together for Advocacy and Leadership, and also by the League of Women Voters of Sacramento. It's being taped by Access Sacramento. That's cute.
Okay. Do you have any closing comments,
Fine,
Tony?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your time and attention, and That concludes my report.
Okay.
Thank
Do you want to speak, Ron? I didn't have a speaker slip. Do you want to speak?
Unless there was some questions.
Okay. I have no questions.
Can I put in a programming plug?
Go right ahead. Go ahead.
Ninth Assembly.
Oh, don't
Assembly
name a
debate is,
don't name your favorite. Just tell
It's
us.
going to be on Saturday night on 17 at 10 p.m., repeating on Sunday at 2 p.m.
This is the one we just saw.
No, that was one debate, and
That
then
was
this
a Kennedy.
is
This is another. So you've been involved in a couple of debates, kind of like the mayor's race of 2000.
My
huh?
evil twin.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Dexter McNamara, representing Interfaith.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Chairman, members of the commission, good to be with you this afternoon. I'm just here to share some information and an invitation. Information really that's contained on this RCC TV stationery, and you will be, I'm sure, very impressed with the fact that I printed each of these on the stationery itself rather than copying it. I do need to note that you see up in the upper left-hand corner it says Channel 75. We have lots of old stationery from 75, so that's
We
it.
use old stationery
Yes,
too.
yes, we got to do that too. And I'm sorry that Ken Jackson, who's our program manager for RCC TV, I really wanted him to be here because he's the one who's really headed up and done a tremendous job in moving the RCC TV forward. He cannot be here because of one of those ways in which he's moved it forward. We're taping programs there at our studio all day today and all day yesterday. So. Well, just briefly, and I'll highlight a few things and then let you read that. First, we do want to thank you, the Commission, for the support in terms of RCC TV and the Interfaith Service Bureau in being able to provide Sacramento with what we think is a wonderful diversity of religious programming. So our appreciation to that. And there's lots of good news there. About our broadcasting, I want to make note that you know, prior to 1993, out of our 24/7 programming, we had about 5.5 hours only of locally sponsored programming. That had to do with the equipment that was available to us and the programs that were available in the community. Now we currently have about 80 hours a week of locally sponsored program. So we're really pleased with that. Obviously, every midnight to 6 a.m. is all satellite, and then at other times. Facilities and equipment. We have moved 2 years ago now down to 2212 K Street, and part of that has been some wonderful upgrading of our equipment, most of which the letters in there goes above my technical head real quickly, but we're really trying to move towards being fully digital. And again, one of those things that building a studio has allowed us to do in the last 2 years is to begin people coming in to produce their programs with us, which previously we had simply been a broadcast. So you can see there the programs that we're currently working with. It's Coffee with the Clergy, which has been filming all day today. Lutherans Alive were there yesterday. We have several other upcoming programs that we're working on. So we really feel, as we say at the bottom, that RCC TV has become a tremendous asset for the whole community, and we appreciate the opportunity to do that. That's my report. The invitation is, I'm sorry, come by and see our little office sometime. Either
The address 2212?
2212 K Street. Yep. A whole lot different than our old firehouse barn out on Folsom Boulevard. I feel a whole lot safer there. So, any questions at all that you might have?
I have a question just out of curiosity, because we have such a diversity of faiths in this community, and so I'm not familiar with you know, how you go about putting your program together. So, you know, just a curiosity. Does it include Buddhists and many of the other major faiths?
Yes.
Major or minor? You know.
I'm sorry?
Major or minor? I
Yes.
just wondered how it worked.
You know, two things. Our goal is to have as wide of a range of programming that's possible. So the two ways we do that is in terms of any kind of satellite feeds that we get in or cable feeds. And we will either, sometimes we have to record those and then play them later, but there are some wonderful programming in terms of overview kind of world religions, and so we do that, bringing that in by satellite. And then in terms of locally produced, we really say to all of the different faiths, please provide us with programming. And then it's always a challenge for, we can't go out and knock on doors and say, you are going to give us programming, but we're really open to that because we really want to have as wide a range as we possibly can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very
Sure,
much,
thank you.
Dexter. Liz Rhodes?
This is the second part of our item. It's SECC BestNet mini grant. We have action.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The staff
there a
is
motion?
going to provide were you going to provide a response?
Liz is going to explain it.
Yeah.
I would
wasn't-
recommend that we hear what Liz has to say, and then I'll provide.
Yeah,
a
that's
comment.
why, that's why I
okay.
called on Liz next. So after Liz, then
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Liz Rhodes. I'm the Executive Director of the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium, and I have a cold. I'm sorry. I was feeling great until yesterday. Before I start on BestNet, I wanted to just take a moment to point out to you, I put a flyer, a poster in front of you for our annual SEVA Student Educational Video Awards. This year, special thank you to Sure West, who is sponsoring the awards for us. I left the office, there were a group of kids in there working on producing and editing, and they were doing some voiceovers, and I hated to leave. But it's going to be very, very exciting this year. It's our version of the Oscars. And the award night is going to be on May 5th, and you'll be getting invitations later, so if you put that on your calendar, we'd appreciate it. Main reason I'm here today is to talk to you about the progress of BestNet and where we are. We feel like we've accomplished quite a bit in the past year. We've got some success stories to tell you about, and then some plans, some future plans, things that we'd like to move forward with. To help me today, I've got Spencer Coyne from CSUS, and he's going to kind of present an overview of the proposal that you have in front of you. Also, Greg Linder from Elk Grove, our vice chair, wanted to be here today. Couldn't be here, is tied up in another meeting, but I have a short video with some comments from him that will run right after Spencer. And then Jerry Jones from the County Office of Education is here to answer any questions that you might have. To begin with, I really want to thank both Comcast and Sure West. They've been really great to work with. We have found as we've moved ahead with this that the devil's in the details, and a lot of things that you put on paper and a lot of plans that you put in place, oftentimes when reality hits, that it doesn't quite work out the way you had planned. Comcast was very cooperative and worked with us in getting that pilot up and running, and that is, those pilot schools are functioning. They're being used now, has made a tremendous difference, especially in Elk Grove, in terms of freeing up some capacity for them getting higher speed into their classrooms. Failure has been almost non-existent. I think it's been down twice since June, and both times Comcast had it back up and running in a very, very short period of time. Schools are very pleased with it. Sure West has put in all of the connections that they have promised and are right on target with us. They are working with us. We've asked them to go back and kind of take a look at how they're connecting the schools. And there's a couple folks here that can explain more about that. We have found that the design on that needed a little bit more work, and we have asked for a few changes. Schools are contributing funding to make some of those changes happen. As we move forward in terms of the next level, and that's pretty much what the proposal is before you, is we're finding that we have a lot of expertise internally with the technology. We have expertise in terms of governance structures and that kind of thing, but we really need help in terms of someone trying to help us pull it all together. Over the past few months, we've looked at several different options, and we think we've come up with kind of a solution that we're very, very excited about. It's an opportunity that timing was everything for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But right now, then, I'd like to introduce Spencer Freund to you from CSUS.
welcome, Spencer.
Thank you. It's great to be back. It's been a long time since I've had the opportunity to address you, and I appreciate the time to be here. I am Spencer Freund, Associate Vice President of Telecommunications at California State University, Sacramento. I'm here as the university's representative to SCCC. In a way, I'm one of the principals, individuals responsible for the development of BestNet, the Broadband Education Service Technology Network. I'm sure you recognize that we all have created perhaps one of the most dynamic and powerful networks, one of the most powerful digital networks to serve the needs of elementary, secondary schools, community colleges, and higher education. It's because of this very powerful resource that we want to ensure that we do it right the first time. We have started out on the right foot, but there's some very typical governance and organization issues that we need to just work on the framework. We need to spend some time on technical architectural issues and on the operation and management of the data network. We need to articulate them in terms of roles and responsibilities that each of us must agree to. It's important to remember that BestNet is a finite resource, and thus it must be managed in a way that all the educators can share and profit from it in a way that supports the needs of our students, our faculty, and our staff, and certainly the public as well. I'm very much in favor and have pushed the concept of strengthening the BestNet plan and its organizational structure. And I heartily endorse the concept and scope of work that has been outlined for the consultant, which I believe you have seen, and recommend with no hesitation Winston Ashizawa's work to take on this challenge. Along with his expertise, I know him well enough to expect that he will bring a finely honed sense of objectivity and integrity and professionalism to the project. He's not God, but he'll come close to it. If there are any questions, I would be happy to entertain.
Okay. Are there any questions? Thank you,
Thank
Spencer.
you very
Nice
much.
to see you again.
It's a pleasure as well.
And now if I could just run that short tape of Greg Linder, he has a few comments for you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I want to apologize for not being able to meet with you today at your meeting. However, as the representative to SCCC from the Elk Grove Unified School District, I want to let you know that we are very supportive of the proposal in front of you and seek your support in moving it forward. We see some really good things with BestNet, and we want to take it to that next level, and we feel this proposal in front of you will allow us to do that for our students. So thank you.
Where we are now, and I won't go over everything since it's all in the proposal, is that we had a unique opportunity in the end of November and December. Winston Ashizawa had been sitting on the SCCC board representing the Sacramento City Unified School District. And during the months that he spent with us on our board, he was instrumental in kind of shedding a new light and a new direction on what we're going in, also providing a great deal of help in pulling people together. Winston's contract with Sacramento City Unified School District ended, and he indicated an interest in continuing on with BestNet. He was very excited about the possibility. Ideas from the board grew out of that, where members of the SCCC board took his offer and greatly expanded the scope of work. So what you see in front of you is the result of the conversations that have occurred over the past several months and the need that SCCC thinks, that we feel that we need to move this forward. We have an ideas, as we've proposed to you in terms of funding this. We want to make a special thank you to Fred Curry with SureWest, who has offered to assist us in this in terms of helping us. We don't have a firm commitment from him. We've also asked Comcast, and they too are looking at, assisting us, and we're waiting for an answer from them. Out of what we are proposing for the $60,000 contract that you have in front of you is that SCCC, out of our operating reserve, would take $15,000. We're asking for a match of $15,000 from you. We're hoping to receive some funding from both of the other companies that I mentioned. And then we have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D if those don't work out. And Winston's been very helpful in terms of trying to move this forward. So we're really excited about the direction we're going. The best thing that we think about it is that what Winston is offering to and what we're proposing is that we will be going over the next 6 months through a process where the final product is going to be much, much more than a written report. The written report is the documentation of the process that we'll go through and we'll implement as we go along. And we see this as the beginning of, the completion of BestNet. So with that, I would like to introduce to you again in a different, not a different form, but a different position, Winston Ashizawa.
Thank you, Liz. Winston?
Stand up, Winston. I'm sure most of you remember.
We remember
We
Winston.
remember him. Wasn't that long ago, Winston?
Afternoon. It's nice to see all of you again. Some of you, this may be your first time getting acquainted with me. I've been in Sacramento since 1971. Actually, my mother was born in Sacramento. I spent 7 years with Sacramento County on environmental land use issues. Was at SMUD and left SMUD in 2000 as the Chief Information Officer, and worked for 2 years with WinFirst, establishing that cable TV, telephone, internet business until its closure and assumption by SureWest. I had a short contract with Sacramento City School District, which I can say was educational, and I'm available trying to find out how I can use my talents to the betterment of the community again. And it's a pleasure to be able to work on this assignment with SCCC and the Commission.
Thank you, Winston.
Thanks, Winston.
So with that, if there are any questions that Spencer or Jerry or I can answer, we would be happy to do so.
I just hope we don't have to go to alternative 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Let's just stick with what you put on the table, okay?
We would like to.
We'll see how the commission feels.
Well, and the way that we look at it is failure's not an option. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we will move forward. We have to.
We're going to hear from Rich Esposito now and comment on this. Rich?
Members, I would support the $15,000 match grant, and we will take that, or I recommend that we take that out of the legal budget. We would manage the legal budget
She's
to
been on
generate.
sabbatical. Yeah, she's back.
We will generate that from operating expenses. To put this in perspective, a year ago September, in a lengthy PowerPoint presentation, John Fleischman from SCOE, with input from Liz and myself, it was a joint presentation, walked you through 121 questions about BestNet. Many of those have been answered, but the main categories of those questions were governance, network architecture, and operations. If there's one negative comment I make to this recommendation, or maybe I should say, let me turn this, make it positive. If the Ed Consortium had come to the commission at budget time last year and asked for the full $60,000, I would have supported it. This needs to be done. It needs to be done along the task list that I've seen in the staff report. It gets at what the issues are. I think governance has to come first. In my opinion, I'll be watching quite closely and report to you the governance structure that comes to this network. There are 20-plus different education entities participating in this project, as well as the cable companies. If I'm crossing the line here, fine, but it's like herding cats. These folks need to kind of pull it together, get a governance structure, decide what their business plan is, their operating plan, and within that, decide on the network architecture. Technology is changing so quickly that landing is sometimes difficult. With that, I recommend, and we have a resolution prepared, one that you authorize a $15,000 mini grant to the Ed Consortium as the fiscal agent for BestNet, and that you authorize staff to process an appropriation transfer request with the county auditor to move $15,000 from the legal services line item to the grant line item.
So let's clarify, it's not serious, Jimmy, no, this is the line item.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say this makes sense. There's nothing like taking money away from the lawyers and giving it to someone else.
Are you moving the item?
This is something that needs to be done, and I like the approach to the multiple parties to help underwrite it. So yes, I will move the item.
That'll be a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, are there any other comments to this side? Okay. I don't know how many attorneys will be out there not too happy, but that's all right.
There goes Harriet's house payment.
There you go. Okay. So with that, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, it's hereby passed. Okay, item number 4.
This is a staff status report with just several general items and one action item. First, in November, recommended and you authorized the chair to issue subpoenas as a way of moving the Comcast audit forward. That accomplished its objective. The subpoenas were not issued. The data came forward. There's a memo in the file from the auditor. You should see the audit report at your next meeting. So bottom line, the things he needed came forward. Holidays hit, he's processing through, but we accomplished what we set out to work on there. In the presentation from ACSAC and Mr. Salamanca, I just want to remind you that we took your direction on the channel commercial use issue. It really isn't a big issue, but your direction that we heard was to proceed through this on a staff policy development basis, be conservative in our thinking, and to bring in comments from the cable companies and the broadcasters. We're in the process now of gathering our thoughts and massaging it using the same kind of email, chain email process we used to bring the channel use agreements to you. It hasn't come together yet, so it hasn't gone out to the cable companies or the broadcasters. When it does, I'll give you a heads up. Bottom line, we'd like to bring that back to you probably for a status report, if not recommendations and actions in April. Next item is revenue. I said I would report to you quarterly on the overall revenue. The Cable Commission based on all the numbers we have now, which is 3 quarters into our fiscal year, we won't be bringing any bad news to you on the revenue budget side. We are on budget. We're actually within 2% of budget. Recall that we made some downsize estimates last year to the revenue projections. They are right on target. Lastly, the Cable Commission's cash sits in the county investment pool as a requirement of our ordinance. The county treasurer asked that you, as the county has already done, approve the investment policies that the county uses to invest our cash. So the action item for you is to approve the resolution concurring with the Board of Supervisors in the county treasurer's investment policies. And I would
So
of course
moved.
recommend that.
I will second that with the comment that they did point out some of the changes that they've made in the policies. I think you've got that in the first part of the report.
Yes.
To bring it into compliance.
Right, but I believe it went through the board on a unanimous vote, as I
Yes.
recall.
Okay. Any comments from the commissioners? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, it's hereby carried. Item number 5, please.
Lastly, Mr. Chairman, just before we, normally the Cable Commission meets on first Thursday of every month. Next month, the City Council has moved to our time slot. So we'll alert your scheduling folks, but the next meeting of the Cable Commission is scheduled for March 11th at 9 a.m. in the chambers. Thank you.
What day is that?
What day of the
That's-
week?
What day of the week?
Oh, it's a Thursday.
That's a
I'm sorry,
Thursday.
Thursday.
And it's not a SETA and a SACOG and all those things day?
It was on a memo that we sent out, and we only had one objection from any of the scheduling secretaries.
Okay, good.
And that was from Councilman Yu's office.
Okay.
Wasn't even a Wednesday, Jimmy, and they're covering for you, huh?
That's why I asked.
Jimmy has an outing every
where he
Wednesday.
is
Nobody
on
gets in his
Wednesday.
way. That's right. Okay, item number 5, please.
We have franchisee, licensee, general status presentations, and we have one speaker, I believe.
Karen Monroe from Comcast. Welcome, Karen.
Chairman Waters and Commissioners, I'm pleased to be here this afternoon. I have a very short report. I'd like to begin by introducing you to one of our newest members of the Comcast leadership team. This is Marion Jackson. She is a new Director of Government Affairs for the Sacramento area. You'll be seeing a lot of her, and I'll see to it that you get her phone number so you can call her directly if you have any questions or issues.
Is that so we won't call you?
No, you're welcome to call me anytime. And she's just going to be always here in Sacramento, whereas I'm usually running around. I wanted to just make you aware of a couple of new programs that we've begun. One is tonight at 8:30, Channel 2. It's called Ask Comcast. It is an opportunity for viewers to call in and speak with the Area Vice President, Paul Fisher. Tonight, he has as a guest a representative from HBO, so it's an opportunity for people to find out how programming decisions are made and what kinds of things they can expect in the future. Also, I mean, people can ask questions about anything, any aspect of Comcast operations. We're also going to be highlighting during that program a nonprofit organization each month. Tonight's agency is Explore It. And we would urge any of you who have a favorite charity or nonprofit organization that you affiliate with to let us know if they can benefit by having some exposure to the community, where our production crew goes out, does a short video, and it's just an opportunity to share with the community the kinds of resources that are available here. Another program that we are just beginning, and you should all be watching for invitations to this, is a program, it's an actual project with CNN Headline News, and it's called Local Edition. We're going to be producing 5-minute segments that will appear 5 minutes before the hour and 5 minutes before the half hour. And the goal is to reach local folks with local issues, and we're going to be asking representatives of the areas to talk about issues that they consider to be of local interest or concern. So we've made arrangements with the California channel to use their production facilities. We will have an interviewer who will take the issue that you bring up, and they will ask you questions about it so we can fully flesh out the issue. We're providing invitations to all of the area local officials, city council members, board of supervisors, as well as some state and federal representatives as well. So please take advantage of that. I think our folks are eager to hear from their representatives. And with that, that concludes my short presentation. If you have any questions about anything, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes, Mr. Yee.
Thank you for the offer on that 5-minute commercial, but I don't think we can discuss the downtown arena in 5 minutes.
Well, you might broach the subject and then come on ask Comcast.
But I did want to commend your staff and your organization, with all due respect to Shore West, because they don't provide cable in my area. I do subscribe to Comcast, and it took all of 10 seconds to replace my broken remote control.
Great, glad to hear that.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
What'd you do, throw it and break it?
Thank you very much.
Surfing too much.
Wore it out. Okay, item number 6.
We have public opportunities to discuss matters not on this agenda, but within commission jurisdiction, and at the moment, we don't have any speakers signed up.
Okay, with that, is there any comments from the commission?
No, just welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, and we're hereby adjourned. Less than an hour.